You may not be expecting this, but what I am about to share could change the way you view your spiritual journey. I want you to think about the power of silence in a different way. Often, we feel the need to share our discoveries and achievements, to show the world what we are learning. But most of the time, what we really need is silence. One of the simplest and most powerful spiritual practices for you, as a chosen one, is conscious silence. This practice involves deliberately abstaining from speaking in a conscious manner. Why is this so powerful? Many of us talk all the time, often about ourselves, our likes, dislikes, thoughts, feelings, opinions, and emotions. Some even talk to themselves when no one is around. This behavior reflects the restless mind that many have. Our modern world shows this need to talk through constant updates on social media, Instagram posts, YouTube reaction videos, and traditional news. But why do we feel this incessant need to talk and share? From a spiritual perspective, everything is energy. When you can't naturally balance your own energy, you end up seeking external sources to feel more alive. And one of the most accessible sources of energy is interaction with other people. When you talk a lot about yourself, you are actually trying to feel that you exist, that you matter, and that you can influence others. This behavior feeds your energy through the reflection of others. Imagine you are carrying a very precious secret, something that has the potential to transform your life. This secret is like a small flame, delicate and vulnerable. If you expose it to the wind, it might go out. Silence is like a protection for this flame, ensuring that it continues to shine within you until it is strong enough to illuminate the world around you. Think about how this flame, in the beginning, is just a faint glow. It needs to be protected from the wind, rain, and anything that might extinguish it. Silence is like a glass dome, protecting this flame as it grows and gains strength. When you choose silence, you are creating a sacred space for your soul to grow. It is in this space that you can hear the true voice of your heart, the one that knows your purpose and guides your steps with wisdom. You should observe how this manifests in your lives. We all know people who love to talk about themselves, to be the center of attention, and to preach their ideas to others. Maybe you are one of these people. Whether you are the one who talks or the one who listens, this exchange of energy is nothing more than a silent power game. This is why conscious silence is such a transformative spiritual practice for the chosen ones. For centuries, spiritual masters have taught the value of silence to help their disciples become more meditative by nature. And this is one of the greatest lessons of the spiritual journey, learning to listen to that inner voice without the interference of external noise. The world is full of noise, of opinions, of criticism, of expectations coming from all directions. But in the quiet, in the silence, is where you can find clarity and direction. It is like being in a secret garden, where only you have access. This garden is your inner space, where you can cultivate the seeds of wisdom, peace, and understanding. Silencing yourself is not just keeping quiet, but allowing your inner world to flourish. Think of it as a secret garden that only you can visit. In it, you find the peace and clarity necessary to understand your path. By protecting this space, you are protecting your spiritual growth, preventing external influences from distorting or weakening your journey. There are several benefits to adopting silence. Firstly, you conserve your vital energy. For those who are used to talking a lot or seeking attention, this may be uncomfortable at first. You may feel an intense urge to interrupt, correct, explain, or even criticize what others are saying. However, silence is a practice that requires dedication and persistence. Over time, you will notice that in addition to losing the desire to talk, you will start to feel more energized. This happens because you stop wasting your energy on unnecessary conversations, judgments, and mental comparisons. This accumulated energy can be channeled into more subtle areas of your life. Instead of worrying about how you will react, you will begin to observe more clearly the behavior and reactions of others. Gradually, this renewed energy will provide you with a deeper understanding of the true intentions, motivations, and desires of those around you. Words can be deceiving, but energy does not lie. As you become more aware of this dynamic, you will also notice how silence amplifies your presence and influence. People will start to feel something different in you, a serenity and security that do not depend on words. This state of inner quietness naturally attracts attention, without effort. More than that, conscious silence allows you to connect more deeply with yourself and with the greater purpose you carry as a chosen one. Instead of wasting energy trying to assert yourself, you direct it towards your spiritual journey, increasing your capacity to serve and manifest good in the world. And silence has an even greater role. It acts as a shield that protects your personal and spiritual experiences. By keeping certain things to yourself, you preserve the purity of these experiences, just as a collector cares for their most valuable pieces, keeping them away from curious hands and indiscreet eyes. If you are chosen, it is essential to understand that not everyone around you will understand or support your journey. Silence is a powerful tool that allows you to avoid external influences that may divert you from your true purpose. It acts as a barrier, protecting your mind and spirit from being contaminated by opinions that are not aligned with what you really need. Think of the times when you shared an idea or a spiritual experience with someone, only to be met with disbelief, skepticism, or even envy. These reactions can hurt, discourage, and, in some cases, even divert you from your path. When you choose silence, you are preserving your energy, your focus, and your mission. You protect yourself from negative energies that may arise when others do not understand or do not value what you are experiencing. For example, in the Bible, Joseph, the son of Jacob, shared his dreams with his brothers, and this aroused such a strong feeling of envy in them that they sold him as a slave. If Joseph had kept his dreams to himself, he might have avoided the betrayal of his brothers. However, God turned that situation into something grand, but the initial suffering could have been avoided with more prudence. Another biblical example is Jesus, who often chose silence in front of his accusers. When he was brought before Pilate, he remained silent in moments when anyone else might have felt the need to defend themselves. This silence demonstrated a deep understanding of his purpose and an absolute trust in the divine plan. In real life, think of moments when you shared your plans or dreams with people who were not on the same wavelength as you. Perhaps you received doubtful looks, negative comments, or even suggestions to give up. These moments may have generated uncertainty in you, perhaps even making you reevaluate your steps, even when you were sure of what you wanted. Silence, in this context, works as a form of protection, allowing you to keep your focus intact without the interference of opinions that do not contribute to your growth. To illustrate practically, imagine you are working on an important project, something that demands all your creativity and energy. If you start talking about this project with several people, you risk receiving opinions that may confuse or discourage you. Perhaps someone says that your idea is unfeasible or that you should do it differently. These opinions can undermine your confidence and make you doubt yourself. By keeping silent, you preserve the purity of your vision and have the freedom to develop it without external interference. Silence allows you to let your experiences and ideas grow within you, without the pressure of justifying or explaining them to others. Just as a farmer plants a seed and lets it grow away from curious eyes, Silence gives time for your ideas and experiences to mature. When the right time comes to share, you will be prepared, and your words will have the power to impact and transform those who hear them. Another reason to keep silent is to avoid the distractions that arise when you share your spiritual journey with the world. Think of how easy it is to lose focus when many people start giving their opinions about what you should or should not do. Silence acts as a lighthouse, guiding you through the fog, helping you stay focused on what really matters without being swayed by external influences. Each person has their own opinion, advice, and perspective. While these views may be helpful at times, they can also create a confusion of voices that distracts you from your inner truth. It's like navigating a stormy sea, where the waves of others' opinions threaten to capsize your boat. Silence is the lighthouse that keeps you on the right course, guiding you back to the safe harbor of your inner wisdom. In practice, this means being selective about whom you share your thoughts and experiences with. For example, imagine you have made the decision to follow a spiritual path that deeply touches your heart. If you start talking about this choice with many people, you are likely to receive a variety of responses, some encouraging, others full of doubt or criticism. These reactions can influence your emotional state, creating uncertainties and pulling you away from your initial purpose. By choosing silence, you protect your journey from external interferences and remain connected to your true essence. In the Bible, we have the example of Nehemiah, who, upon receiving the mission to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, initially kept his plans secret. He did not immediately share with the leaders or the people what God had placed in his heart. This strategic silence allowed him to plan carefully, without the interference of opinions and criticisms that could have diverted or weakened his purpose. Only after he was secure in his intentions and prepared did he reveal his plans, thus ensuring the mission's success. Silence also allows you to process your experiences and ideas more deeply. When you do not rush to share, you give time for your reflections to mature and gain strength within you. Just like a plant that needs time and care to grow away from curious eyes, your ideas and experiences need this protected space to fully develop. When the time comes to speak, your words will be more authentic and have a true impact because they were cultivated in silence and introspection. It is also crucial to remember that silence protects you from attracting unwanted attention. When you share your spiritual successes or future plans, you may end up attracting the attention of people who do not have the best intentions. These people, driven by envy, jealousy, or even malice, may try to undermine your progress, just as a storm can uproot a tree that is not yet well rooted. By keeping your achievements private, you protect them from being harmed by negative energies. Moreover, when you keep your victories to yourself, you allow them to take deep roots in your life. Just as a young plant needs time to establish itself before being exposed to the elements, your achievements also need this time of silence to grow strong and resilient. When you finally decide to share, your foundation will be solid, and the storms of life will not be able to topple what you have built. Silence not only serves as protection, but also as a way to preserve humility. By avoiding the search for external validation, you prevent the ego from dominating your journey. It is easy to get lost in praise and in others' expectations, but silence keeps your focus on what truly matters, your inner development and connection with the divine. Humility is a rare virtue, especially in a world that values public recognition and others' approval so much. However, true spiritual growth is not fed by applause. It flourishes in tranquility, in silence, away from others' eyes. It is in this silent space that you can deeply connect with God, hear His voice, and follow His guidance. Keeping silent also helps cultivate inner peace. Imagine yourself in a calm place, where you can hear the soft sounds of nature around you. This place is silence, where you can find the tranquility and clarity necessary to continue your spiritual journey in a firm and serene manner. Silence is like a refuge, a sanctuary where you can retreat when the outside world becomes chaotic and oppressive. It is in this sanctuary that you can regain your strength, perspective, and peace. Each moment of silence is an opportunity to reconnect with your essence, to realign your spirit with the divine, and to find clarity amidst the confusion. Moreover, silence allows you to develop greater spiritual sensitivity. When you are silent, your inner senses become sharper, allowing you to perceive signs and intuitions that would normally go unnoticed. It is in this state of quietness that you can receive deeper revelations and access higher levels of consciousness. Many great spiritual masters teach that silence is the path to true wisdom. When you silence yourself, not just externally but also internally, you create space for divine wisdom to flow through you. It is as if silence is a channel that allows spiritual knowledge, which is beyond words, to reveal itself to you. Another reason to maintain silence is the power it has to strengthen your faith. By avoiding sharing your spiritual experiences and challenges with others, you are forced to trust more in God and the guidance He is giving you. This act of trusting and depending on the divine in silence strengthens your spiritual connection, making you more resilient in the face of adversity. Faith is not something that is built with words, but with silent actions and internal decisions. When you face spiritual challenges, silence allows you to go deeper into your trust in God. It is an act of surrender, where you choose to trust His plan, even when you don't fully understand what is happening. And it is in this space of silence and trust that faith grows, blossoming into something unshakable. Silence also protects you from negative energies and spiritual attacks. When you keep your intentions and spiritual experiences secret, you create an invisible barrier against those who might want to divert you from your path or weaken your faith. It is like putting protective armor around your soul, ensuring that you remain firm and unshakable in your journey. In many spiritual traditions, silence is seen as a form of purification. By silencing yourself, you protect not only from external attacks, but also from your own negative and self-sabotaging thoughts. It is like cleaning the mind and heart, removing any residue of doubt, fear, or mistrust. In this purified state, you become more receptive to divine guidance and more capable of following your path with courage and determination. Finally, silence is a way of honoring divine timing. Not everything should be revealed or shared immediately. By keeping silent, you allow things to develop at the right time, according to God's will. This ensures that you are prepared and in tune with the divine purpose before sharing your experiences with the world. There is a time for everything under heaven, and silence is the way to respect that time. When you rush to share something, you may be interfering with the natural process of spiritual growth. But when you practice silence, you allow things to reveal themselves in their own time, according to God's perfect plan. This not only protects you, but also ensures that, when the time is right, your words will have the impact and power they need to have. Now you may be wondering how it is possible for an ordinary person, with work and perhaps even a family, to practice the virtue of silence. Certainly your wife wouldn't be too happy if, instead of talking to her, you started communicating with gestures like a monk. However, although the practice of silence for those living in the world is different from the practice of a religious person, it is still possible and highly recommended. Here are some practical suggestions. First, one way to practice silence is to avoid idle conversations, for in the multitude of words, sin is not lacking. Therefore, avoid talking just for the sake of talking. Social media, in particular, encourages the waste of words. It is common to see people on Facebook complaining about trivial things, discussing personal problems, or posting cryptic phrases that beg for attention. If you feel tempted to do something similar, resist. Use your voice, or your fingers in this case, only when you have something useful to say. Second, silence can be cultivated by restraining the tongue when the urge to complain arises. Complaining is the opposite of being grateful and expressing praise, and it can actually be considered a sin. It's easy to complain about food, a rude person, or bad weather. But does that really improve anyone's situation? Save your words unless you have something positive to say. Third, we can practice silence by avoiding expressing our opinions on all subjects. Whenever a crisis arises on the national or international stage, it seems that everyone feels the need to share their immediate opinions on the topic. But in reality, many of us do not have a deep understanding of these events, and the world does not need more guesses. Be prudent and keep your opinions to yourself. Fourth, we can resist the compulsion to fill every moment of silence with some noise. If you're driving, try leaving the radio or music off. At home, turn off the TV now and then. Avoid checking your phone automatically while waiting in a line or elevator. Life is full of opportunities to practice silence. Take advantage of these moments. Finally, we can keep silent when we feel the temptation to criticize others. Noticing others' flaws is easy, and it's even easier to share these flaws with others, whether by truth or rumor, harming people and tarnishing their reputations, often just to make ourselves feel superior. Keeping silent in the face of the desire to criticize is difficult, but extremely beneficial. The tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity, warns St. James. It defiles the whole body and sets on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire by hell. Words have power, even when spoken quietly, and what we say can echo in eternity. Although we are not cloistered monks, we can learn to practice silence in our own lives, in the state God has placed us in, restraining our tongues with wisdom, to hear the voice of Christ and know Him more deeply. Therefore, my friends, perhaps what most frightens the chosen ones in silence is the fact that they have to face their own thoughts. When you truly retreat, you begin to hear the whirlwind of thoughts that invades your mind. The anxieties, the deepest aspirations, the pains, and the challenges you face, everything seems to surface, emerging to the forefront of your consciousness, leaving you uncomfortable and restless. There is a natural fear of this confrontation with the innermost part of your being, of this battle with the complexity of your heart. That is why the tendency is to try to drown out the silence with constant doses of noise. When you are alone in the car, you turn on the radio. At home, you keep the TV on all the time, not necessarily to watch what's on, but to have a soundtrack that keeps you away from the uncomfortable silence. Every pause at work or moment of waiting in a line is quickly filled with glances at the phone, as if anything is better than facing silence. You may feel this need to avoid silence because it forces you to look inward, to deal with what you might prefer to ignore. However, it is precisely in this silence, as uncomfortable as it may be, that you can find true peace and clarity. Silence challenges you to face your shadows, but it also offers the opportunity to connect with the deepest part of your essence, to hear the divine voice that speaks in the stillness. Embracing silence is an act of courage and self-awareness that allows you to grow spiritually and strengthen yourself internally, thus fulfilling your purpose as a chosen one. Silence is essential because our intellects were wounded and weakened after the fall. Before, communion with God, our Creator, happened easily and naturally, like seeing and hearing. We had a constant awareness of His presence. However, sin broke that communion and impaired our ability to know God at the deepest level of our being. With our intellects weakened, we live in the midst of a chaotic storm of thoughts, feelings, and emotions, like a swirling cloud of mosquitoes on a hot summer night. Calming this spiritual and emotional storm is an incredibly difficult task, and the only way to do it is by facing the problem head-on. This only becomes possible when we retreat enough to hear how disturbed our souls really are. Although this can be frightening, and many prefer to avoid this confrontation, it is absolutely necessary for the spiritual progress of the chosen ones. Now, I ask you, are you the type who shares a lot, or do you prefer to keep certain things to yourself? Let us know in the comments. And if you are still watching, I want to thank you for your presence here. If you like the content, subscribe for more videos like this. Your support is essential, and I would love to hear your experiences and thoughts. Until next time, and remember, silence can be your best ally.